I would like to thank Wattpad for giving my book Renegade the award of Best Romance Novel in Wattpad. I never really expected myself to win in comparison to the amazing works of other fellow competition. Such competition is a fellow writer of mine, a great online friend, Yuriko Hime, and her amazing works, such as Starstruck and her latest best-selling romance novel in Amazon, She's an Alien. It is an honor for me to be accepting this award and for my book to represent the romance genre of Wattpad for 2018. But sadly, I cannot be there personally. It is because of a busy schedule that I could not attend to the awarding ceremony. But hopefully, this video can suffice for it. This award means a whole lot to me because I had began to write ever since I was just a little kid. Back at my kindergarten age, I won bronze medalist for a simple penmanship contest. I shrugged it off as nearly nothing back then, as just a piece of metal that I won. But little did I know that was, that was a starting step for me, for something that could change my life forever. At grade 4, I joined the school newspaper. Back then, it was just because I wanted to stand out from other people. I wanted to be able to be recognized by my fellow classmates. I was a features writer back then, which meant that I have to read countless amounts of books, carefully skim scan, and give my honest critique and review and recommendations, whether or not I should tell the student body to read it or not. Back then, I had a blast, and so did my mom when it comes to her credit card. I read a lot of books, and I enjoyed my free time most especially because I was able to enjoy them with the books that I love to read. And with that, my love of books grew, but most especially my writing. After grade school, I entered high school, and that was when my love shifted. I used to love academic writing because it was logical, but I realized that my love for academic writing is starting to fade because I was more of a innovator than someone who was cold and calculating. I want to be creative, to use my imagination, to expand my horizons. And I wasn't satisfied with just writing writing something down due to facts or to trends. I want to create a character. A character that someone would root for, a character that someone would boo for, a character which people can relate to. And with that, I went from the transition of academic writing to creative writing. But the transition wasn't really easy for me to adapt to because I was so used to academic writing because firstly I was in school, so I had to use academic writing. And most importantly, I never once created a completely original story. Back then, my stories used to have a tad bit of a touch from other stories, and then combined into a completely original story with tiny bits of familiarity from different stories. Needless to say, my mom was able to successfully shut down because I would have been sued for plagiarism. In fact, I still thank her. I still thank her for that very advice because I would probably be in jail by now. But most importantly, I would like to thank my fellow writers online for teaching me on how to actually make a good story. Because if it wasn't for them, I would have done my stories like this. Back then, I would have just jotted whatever the hell I had thought of in a piece of paper. Like if my plot was this boy fell in love with this girl, and that's that. And then from then on, I would just let my mind take over. Like, what made the boy fall in love, and then I would not even think twice on proper plot development, proper character development. I would not think of a proper climax that would fit the resolution. In fact, back then, I thought that all stories need to have a happy ending. But thankfully enough, I was able to learn the hard way that not all stories need to have a good ending, especially if it seems forced. If it seems forced, then I should have not done that good ending in the first place. Such as the such example of online authors that have helped me that I still am a close friend to up to this very day is a fellow author by the name of Average Spearman. If it wasn't for him, I would have given up on writing because during my starting years of Wattpad, it was a tough time. I had to rise up from the ground from there, and it was not the easiest of roads for me. Because when you start in Wattpad, you get zero views, no matter how much you update your chapters, no matter how long it is, no matter how creative the plot is, no matter how good the cover is. Because obviously, Wattpad has a system that tries to furthermore advertise the more influential, the more trending stories. Because as a website, it needs to keep its loyal readers happy. And I would have given up if it wasn't for Average Spearman. If it wasn't for his constant support and constant barrage of motivation, I would have never been able to write a story. My first story was a bit delayed. I never had the motivation to do it because why would I do it if nobody was to read it? Because my goal as a writer right now is simple, to get a book published. But the thing is, how would you get your book published if nobody wants to read it? You could say self-publishing, but I wanted my books to be able to reach out to others, not just to my family and friends, but I wanted to reach perhaps the entire world. It might be a bit big to dream, but that's where it all starts. It starts with a dream. And that dream began way back at prep. An Average Spearman helped me get there. So once again, I would like to thank Wattpad for giving me this award and for people like Yurko Hime with her stories that helped me further expand my knowledge in writing. I wasn't just limited to home I wasn't just limited to heterosexual romance stories. I now write homosexual stories as well for gays, bisexuals, lesbians and transgenders because I know that not all of my readers are straight. And I wanted to somehow reach out to those LGBTQ readers as well. And most importantly, I'd like to thank my mother who have supported me all these years. It is her undying love for me that helped me keep on going with what I love to do, which is to write, and Average Spearman for all the motivation that he gave me. In fact, up this very day, he still motivates me to write stories. And with his constant nagging, who wouldn't? Because I definitely wouldn't want to keep him nagging at my doorstep every single 5 seconds. So once again, I appreciate my readers as well because if it wasn't for their constant support on my stories, I wouldn't be able to even imagine what I would be today. Because I may have just given up on it right when I was beginning. But thankfully, the loyal readers who started off reading my stories ever since the first view of my story, who are still here up to this very day, I would like to thank them as well. Thank you very much.